Sam Supplier, welcome to the Daniel Lee's podcast.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for having me.
How are we?
Good.
I'm completely gassed by this one because obviously when you came to stay with us, I wasn't really thinking about doing it because you probably want to chill and get a bit of rest time. And then when we were literally in the car the other day and you're telling me your story, I was like, oh my god, like we have to do this. So,
no, it's good opportunity, mate. It's good opportunity.
So, I mean, like just for the people that don't know, we are in this is DJ royalty we got here. You know, people listening or tuning in from London, you're going to know this guy and you're going to know that he is an absolute legend in the game. I mean, you've got a copious amounts of nights. You've had how many top 40s now? 4 or 5?
4 now. Four.
And you've had
four worldwide Beatport ones.
Yeah, and you've had a number 1 as well.
Yeah.
I mean, like
gas.
Yeah, I mean that's just that. I mean, for you, like, especially as it's always been like a journey in your life, like how does it feel to kind of be there and be like, I'm actually at the top of my game?
Do you know something? It's funny that you say that, yeah, because whenever I achieve something, and I'm sure we'll go through these little things throughout it, but when I achieve something, I then feel like it's not enough. Like it's not like I was like, yeah, but that's sick. That was a dream. But what about this now? Or what about this? And it goes further. I don't know. Does that make kind of
100%? Because I don't even think it's relative to, like, say for example, like
just
you.
It's
I think that's relative for a lot of people, and it's something that I have a number of conversations with. Is people always say, like, and it's same for me, like, it's never enough. It's always more. It's always more. And that's...
Mate, I think about it often. And I was like, is that an illness? Do you know, like, because I don't want to feel like that.
But the thing is, though, do you know what? Like, the counter argument to that is that not a lot of people are like that.
Oh, they're not?
No, not everyone's like, can you just imagine being...
That's the go-getter, like, strive.
Yeah,
like.
But can you just imagine being that guy that just is okay with just doing, like, the same thing for his life? Like, it's just... That's his thing.
I've achieved my goal now.
Yeah.
Look, I'll sit back.
I bought my house. I got my mortgage. Like, I'm just thinking about...
Or whatever your goal might be. But
exactly. But for me, like, if it was, let's say, as a mortgage type, I would be thinking, how many mortgages can I get? Not just the one.
100, yeah.
And I don't know where it came from, but yeah, we're singing from the same hymn sheet. So let's go all the way to the very, very beginning. Because Sam Supplier has not always been Sam Supplier. Okay. So let's talk about growing up. Whereabouts you from, and what was your kind of upbringing?
So like up until the age of kind of 8-9 years old, lived in a little village just outside Aylesbury called Wadston. That's where I was brought up. I was
Googling. And I did a podcast with someone from a different city, and I was like, worst places to live in the UK. Aylesbury was number 1.
Are you joking me?
No.
Oh, mate. Well, we moved to Tottenham after that, and that's definitely worse. So I'm not sure who wrote that, mate.
Yeah, someone in Tottenham's paid them off not to put them at the top of the list. Yeah. So you live just outside of Aylesbury.
Yeah.
Up until what age?
About 9 years old. Yeah, and then London ever since.
Yeah.
Hence the reason I talk with a twang in my accent, Tottenham twang.
Yeah. And what was the reason for you actually moving?
Well, it's just my dad moved into London. Yeah. So when my parents split up, like me and my sisters lived with my dad, and we went to London.
Because I mean, the age you say you were 9 years old when you moved there, yeah?
Maybe 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because were you old enough to remember that transition?
Yeah, fully. Yeah. Like, I think it affected me.
that must have been so difficult as well. Because I remember myself specifically, you know, that transition into upper school was so daunting. Like going into a space where you're just like, oh my god, like I don't know anyone, I don't know anything, like, and but that in an area where I actually know people compared to like going to a completely like new area, like how did that affect you?
Yeah, like I think, and that definitely affected me. Like I think that when my parents split up, I think it made me a bit naughty. Like, you know, that kind of I was probably rebelling out, or that's how you kind of suppose at that age get your anger out. Like you don't realise that until you're older. That's like maybe why. So, but I think, I don't know. Like I was still young enough that you just fall into it and adapt it. Whereas if you did that like kind of as a teenager, I think it'd be a lot harder.
And so talk us through the first moments of Tottenham then. Like, had your parents split up and that's why he moved there?
Yeah. So yeah, like Tottenham's like a hard area. Like when I went to school, I went from like a kind of a white community into when I went to school there was only like me and maybe 2-3 other white boys in my whole like year. So that was like that was different. But I didn't notice that. In fact, I didn't actually at the time. I didn't realize, because at that point you're that young, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was maybe 2-3 years ago. I went to put a picture up on Instagram. And I went to type, oh look, I'm the one wearing the sunglasses. Like, it was a picture from school, like of all of us in our class. And then I looked at it and I was like, there's only one other white boy. And I didn't realise to the extent of like that was my upbringing. But like, mate, I'm thankful for it. Like,
but that's what you say there is so good, because that's the thing. Like, it doesn't matter about like where you're from, what colour you are. It's like we're all one, right? And I think that's where like the problems sometimes come, and it's so good that you saw people for who they were.
I didn't realise, because I was young at that time. I didn't realise it, and it literally just was that. It was that when I went to put the picture up, and I was like, whoa, mental.
Yeah. Do you ever still keep in contact with the friends from school?
Yeah. There's I wouldn't say I've got like close mates from school, but a lot of them like pop up at the parties, like kind of, or like festivals, or like I'll see like a few of my school mates like kind of like there at the front waving. I'm like, what? Is that you lot? Yeah.
Yeah, that's decent.
So yeah, there's a few of the girls that I still speak to and that. So yeah, it's like, but yeah, I'm kind of not a million miles away, like where I live now, from where I grew up there. So I do still bump into people.
Yeah, I mean, I literally, I obviously didn't DJ on your sort of scale, but I mean, I got some good nights, and played with some good DJs. But I mean, for me, like, obviously you've made it, you've signed to so many labels, like you're playing with some of the biggest DJs in the world.
Lucky.
Whereas, not lucky, hard work, mate. That's what it is. Look, you've created your own fortune. But when I was like, the fit girls at school, and they're out of reach, and then they see you in the DJ box in Northampton, and they're just like, chatting to you, like, nah, moment's gone now, mate, it's gone.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing that.
I bet you had a lot of that.
Yeah, mate, it's definitely a cock extension. I'd be lying. Is that a good way to put it? I don't know.
And I mean, like, obviously, music, was it always a bit of your life, or?
Yeah, so my dad's a drummer.
Okay.
So and I remember like some of my earliest memories was going on tour as like a kind of 3, 4, 5-year-old kid and touring around with his band, and kind of just being on the side of the stage with my big kind of like ear protectors on, and just watching my dad play at these kind of festivals like around the world, like to kind of and without knowing it, that probably made me want to do what I do. It was probably seeing that kind of
just digs this like subconscious thing in your brain.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, made me want to kind of be a performer, I suppose, or just love music in general, because music was fully in my household, as you can imagine.
And what was your like kind of like choice of music? Was it always that kind of like, because sometimes you see those kids and they're like listening to like drum and bass, and they're like 3 years old and they're like dancing around. You kind of see them and you're like, yeah, they're obviously going to be a bit of a rave when they get older. But were you like that, or was it more like rock music? And
no, so like I think that early age, like I just loved all music. Like all music, but definitely. So when we moved to like London, I remember like my stepmom at the time. I had a Walkman, and my Walkman had a radio on it, and I just kind of, and I always kind of like love kind of like ravey music, Prodigy and that kind of like stuff, like what everyone else was listening to, like Carly and Jason in those days, and I was like kind of like this Prodigy rave like music. And I remember saying to me, oh, look, there's loads of pirate radio stations that play that music. I was like, pirate radio stations? What's that? Like, she was like, well, they're illegal stations that broadcast, and this is the music they play. I was like, well, how do you tune in? She's like, yeah, pass your Walkman here. And then within 2 seconds, I had all of this like rave music playing through my like headphones, and that was it. Like I was enthralled because one, I loved that kind of music, but the other side of it was, but pirate radio, what do you mean they're not allowed to do it? What do you mean? Like, and it sucked me in from like kind of, mate, I must have been literally, well, it was when we first went to London, so I was a 10-year-old kid.
Yeah. Wow. And from that point, you're like, obviously there's a big chunk of school life left. Like, how did the remainder of school life go when you was in Tottenham?
Yeah, a lot. My school life was all right, really. I just how I am as a person, and I was always loudmouth Charlie Big Bollocks, like at school, shouting out. I was that kid, unfortunately.
Did you enjoy school though?
Yeah, like I think, really, like kind of. I mean, by year 9, year 10, I really, from listening to all the pirate radio stations, like I just loved all of the MCs that was on them, and so I was just at school, like basically just MCing every day, like MCing in the like playground, MCing on the bus, like copying everyone's lyrics that I used to like hear, and I think. Because I'd like to think I got pretty good even at that young age, and I think that kind of gave me a little boost. I want to say hero status, but that's probably a bit.
At school though, no other kids doing that, right? So,
and especially with everyone at school would be like all of the black boys and everyone that rapped like kind of as well, and I was the white kid. Like kind of the Eminem of my I ain't that really. If only. No, but so yeah, like my schooling was alright really. It was alright. I mean, where the school was and that, it was like hard. It was a hard school in Tottenham. About 3 or 4 years after I left, the school got closed down, I think, for knife crime and everything that was going on. It was a hard school.
Yeah.
But no, like, I quite enjoyed my schooling, in all honesty.
Yeah, and what type of kid were you? Did you get on with everyone, or were you like? Because it's always. I mean, I was very similar. Like, for me, school was a nightmare. Like, that way they wanted to teach you. I didn't want to learn that way. I was very hands on. I like to do, and you know, it's quite funny looking back now because you know you get outcast as kind of the kid that isn't going to go anywhere. And you know, I mean, there was one teacher, bless her, Miss Faulkner. She actually
big up Miss Faulkner.
Yeah, exactly. If you're listening now, I don't know if you ever but yeah, but no, she actually spoke to my parents and was like, listen, like, he has learning difficulties, he finds it hard to concentrate, why don't you try putting him on these types of vitamins to help him concentrate more.
Oh,
and
really?
that was that. But then the majority of the teachers would just see it as something else, and it was just a nightmare trying to learn, and which resulted in me leaving school with absolutely nothing.
No, similar. Like, I got diagnosed with something at age kind of 11, where I don't even know the name of it, but basically when I read or I write, I miss words because my brain is thinking too far ahead, or my mind's spinning, going like way too fast. Yeah. For me to physically read it or write it down, which then makes you naughty because you don't concentrate. Then you kind of, and that side of things there. So I think I can relate to that. But mate, I mean, I didn't do much work at school, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah. But I just, like you say, I mean, like I said it to you before, it's very fascinating because, you know, if the teachers could see you now and see how creative you are as an individual, it's like they just don't give you that up. Well, I don't know now, I can't talk for school now, but at that time they didn't really give you the time or day to see you as, you know, a creative person, that you could be something in your own right.
Mate, I remember like my science teacher telling me to shut up because I was just used to MC at the back of the classroom. Bit of bass, bit of bass. I'm like, yeah, man, creative. No. Obviously, I didn't know what creative meant then, innit? But yeah.
Yeah, and so obviously we passed school life, and then when did music start to become like a real?
To be fair, so what happened is, like, I was still at school when my music started. So I had a mate at school called Fodis. big up for this. So like, and his older cousin owned a pirate radio station. So I would have been 14 at the time, and he said, "Oh, do you want me to like get you on to go and MC on my cousin's pirate radio station?" And I was like, "What?" Like, what? Bear in mind that I was addicted. I listened to every pirate radio station in London, so I was just like, "Yeah, get me on." So I went on like that kind of Saturday night of that weekend. Forrest got me on there, and to be fair, they just took a gamble on me because they hadn't heard me or nothing, and I was just this little kid. They were all like grown up guys, you know what I mean? And then I went there, and it just went sick. Like kind of like it really like it went really well.
Did you get nervous?
No, I don't know. I think I was just excited, and I remember that when I went back into school, like that Monday morning, because everyone had tuned in from school. When I went back in, then it was like that was hero status thing. Because everyone was like, "What? We heard you!" And I was just bigging everyone up. I was bigging up all my classmates.
Yeah.
So yeah, they was and so I'd have been like about 14 then, I think that, and that's how it started. Selection FM, it was called.
And what about work? What about work after school? Was that ever an option for you, or was it just like straight into music? Did you ever have those kind of like weekend jobs where you go work in a restaurant or in a music store or whatever?
Yeah, like, so basically, from school I went to college just to like do retakes, like fuck them up as well. Like I don't know if I even ended up thinking even doing the actual exams.
Yeah.
But it's spent a year of just doing that. But in that time there, I'd gone to this nightclub called Labyrinth, and in those days, like, you didn't need ID to get in. There's no ID scans or anything like that. So like, you could kind of, if you looked old enough, you could blag it. And that day I'd gone, I went down there to the club, and there was a DJ playing. They just opened a jungle music room, and I literally just went up to him like and just said, "Yeah, I'm the MC," and he's like, "Mate, there's no mic." Like I just like, and I was like, "All right, except but if you can find a mic, you can get on." Obviously, he's thinking we're in the middle of a nightclub. I'm not gonna like just be able to hunt down a mic, or I haven't brought one with me. So I was like, "What? If I can find a mic, I can get on." So I went into the other arena, and I was like, "Yeah, mate, I'm the MC for downstairs. They've sent me up to go and get the mic." And then it was like, "Oh no, there's not a spare one." So then there was a third room, a little chill out room right at the top of this club in Dalston. So like, and I went up there and I said, "Oh, they've sent me up to grab the spare mic." There's that spare mic. Where's that then? He goes, "Oh, here it is, mate." Boom. So I got the mic. Yeah, I've gone back downstairs like to like the jungle room. Handed the mic over to the DJ. He's kind of like looked at me, like rolling his eyes, going, "Oh mate, he's found one."
Yeah.
And then like I was like, boom, plugged it in, and that was it. I just MC'd in this club at kind of, what would I have been? I probably got the years wrong a little bit there. I think I was about 15 at the time, but like so like got and I started MCing them for like 3 hours straight. After that, I went to go and find the owner of the club, and I said, "Oh, I've been MCing like downstairs and for the last few hours." He said, "Oh, a couple of people have mentioned it, asked me who you was," and I said, "Like, mate, can I get a booking? Like, can I come back like and perform next week or like?" And he goes, "Give me his number." He said, "Call me in the week," which I did, and then that was it. I became his resident there every Saturday for 2 or 3 years.
And how long did you end up being the resident MC there?
Yeah, I think about 2 or 3 years. But to go back to what you were saying about having a job, so like in that time there, my dad had known someone in a barrister's chambers, and he got me a job.
Chambers.
Yeah, so like I worked for about a year then. While I was doing that as a barrister's clerk, that's what I was doing.
Wow.
And then purely like just because like kind of, I mean I didn't have any, I definitely didn't have the correct exam results, or I didn't have qualifications, didn't have them like to go and do it. But he got me the job, and I really flew through the ranks like really rapidly at this job. And I remember one day, like, and my money was going up, and it was actually getting quite good. And I remember one day just going in there and looking at all of these kind of old guys doing the same job as me, And I looked at them all and I was like, if I don't get out of here, I'm going to be one of them, because I would be stupid to leave. Because obviously financially it was going quite well and quite rapid. And I looked at them all and I was like, I don't want to do that. And that was it. My attitude changed, and I think I left within like a week after that. I did it for about a year.
Do you know what though? Like, the thing is like those pivotal moments in your life, like you don't realise how much strength that takes to do that, because so many people, that's what people get into, right? They get into the salary thing and earning that money, rather like chasing that salary, so they've got that monthly paycheck without really following their dreams. And I think that is such a huge part of people not being fulfilled in their life, because they just haven't followed their dreams. Like
100%.
And it's really scary and again, like you say, it's weird, isn't it, how these things, you have like, it's just these, you have these pivotal moments where you just go, do you know what, actually, like, I'm really going to do like something that I love. So you knocked it on the head. How did your dad take it? Like, he sorted you out this job.
Yeah, like I felt a bit bad for him, in all honesty.
And did you say to him, Dad, I quit because I want to become an MC?
Well, the only thing that why I got away with it, like why I felt I didn't let him down too much, because obviously he's a musician, so he got it. He was like, okay, I know, I can see you want to go and chase that dream. But and I did that, and then. Yeah, so basically, and so at this point, I'm doing a lot of different pirate radios at the time, and Mum's starting to create a little kind of name for myself. I'm the resident at Labyrinth, who's got me a few other kind of like bookings here and there, but nothing extravagant. I was probably getting 30, 40 quid or something like to go and MC something ridiculously shit. But it kept me going.
It?
Mate, I was like living that dream I always wanted to do as a little kid.
Yeah.
So like, and yeah, so that's what I was doing at that time. And then so it kind of like fizzled out a little bit. So at the age of must have been just turned 16 in the summer. That summer there, I went over to Ayia Napa.
Yeah. Basically,
like my friend.
How old were you at that time?
Would have been 16. So then what happened was my friend had got, I'd got an MC'd for him at this place. Like, I just jumped on the mic with him. And anyway, he rings me up on like Tuesday after. And he was like, mate, there's this guy called Mickey, and his name's Mickey Zoo, and he used to run Camden Palace. And all these big events, Lords of the Underground, and some real huge stuff. And he was like interlinked with Kiss FM, and he was like, oh, he wants a meeting with you. I'm like, why? And he was like, he's like, I think they want you to go Ayia Napa. I was like, what? I was like, sick. So like, I rang him and said, yeah, I'm Supplier. Like, you want a meeting? So I went into his office, which is like in Soho, in London. And I went in there and he said, right, I'm going to cut to the chase. I need an MC to go over to Ayia Napa, but it's a little bit of a weird, sticky situation. They want a white MC, and I don't know any. I was like, what? Literally, that's what he said to me. Bear in mind, he's a black guy. Yeah. He was like, I need a white MC, and it's Tuesday now. I need you to go on Monday. I was like, what? I was like, it was all like, I was like, but you haven't even heard me. He's like, well, you good? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, come on then, you're going to Ayia Napa. I was like, sick. But that weekend there was actually, it was a big decision for me, because that weekend there would have been my busiest ever weekend. So I had like kind of 4 gigs that I really wanted to do. But I had to go on the Friday. It wasn't the Monday. I had to go on the Friday. So I missed the weekend's gigs, and I had to tell all of the promoters, like, oh, I couldn't go. And that was a real big decision for me at the time, because these were like Bagleys and places that I'd really wanted to do as a little kid. So yeah, flew over to Ayia Napa on, I think it's the last weekend in May, and stayed there until the 1st of October. And I didn't come back the whole time throughout it. And I was so tunnel vision on what I wanted to do. I was like, I can't believe I'm being flown to Ayia Napa. And so much so that like my mum got remarried in that time, and I missed her wedding and everything. I didn't even come back because I was so scared that if I came back, someone else would nick my jobs that I had over there. And I was like, and that was obviously a big decision. Sorry, mum. I've said sorry a few times over the years, but yeah, and yeah, that was. I mean, the jobs weren't even like anything great. I was in this bar called Marinella's, which was like the number one pre-party bar. I was getting 15 quid a night in there to do like 3 hours. And then after that, I was a resident at Spot Club, which was like, it was the sickest club over there, and get another 15 quid for that. But like, I didn't even care. I was living life, and I was just like a little young kid, and and literally just performing with all of my peers. And this time it was like garage music. So, and there's all of the anyone you can possibly think of, like the Matt Jam, Lamont, Lack and Neat, EZ, all of the huge names. I literally met everyone. Like at that point, I was because I was relatively like unheard of. Like, and at that point, I met everyone. And I tell you now, if I never went there and did that year, I would not be doing what I'm doing now. That changed my life. Yeah, because it gave me a household name, because at that point everyone was going to Ayia Napa, and I was the resident in the 2 number 1 places, so I instantly came big. Yeah, like at that point, and yeah, so that completely and utterly changed my life. Yeah, I also met my son's mum.
Is that where it happened?
Yeah, well, I'm not conceived, but that's where I met her.
Wow. Yeah, because that's also a fascinating story, because you obviously got a boy now. Is he like 20 years old?
20 years old, how mental's that? For the age of 16.
How did you deal with that, though?
Mate, I'll be honest with you, and he'll probably listen to this, and I have told him this. I shit myself. I was so scared. I was so scared. Like, and it was just, I don't know, like, but what did happen was, I tell you now, so big pinnacle moments for me, going to Ayia Napa and meeting everybody, and having my son, because by having my son, it made me go out and achieve. I had to make this music thing happen, because I remember like when he was born, I'd come back to England, and the gigs had kind of dried up. I was getting kind of 50 quid for one and doing a couple of bits here and there. It wasn't enough to live on by any means. And I remember, like, so he was born, and his mum was saying he needed scratch mittens, like little mittens. So as a baby, they scratch their face with their nails, so they don't realise. Mate, they were only a £5, and I couldn't afford them. I could not afford it. And I remember like kind of going nuts, like, you need to get these mittens. I did not have the money. I didn't even have £5 to go and get them. And then I saw his face, and he'd scratched his face, and it ripped my heart out. It absolutely ripped my heart out. And that was a moment there, just the same as leaving the barrister chambers, and same as a moment there where I was just like, I have to make this happen now. Like, I've got a mouth to feed. So by having a son at such a young age, for sure made me go and achieve. It had to work.
Yeah, mate, that's like right there. I mean, like, even that part, like, would never spoken about that, and that, like, right, it's crazy. It just, that pinnacle moment where you're just like, do you think that, would you have made it as much as you did if it wasn't for him?
No.
Do you reckon you'd have fell off the bandwagon a little bit and just got consumed with that lifestyle? Yeah,
I think that, I mean, I think I'd have been a lot more complacent, or a lot more kind of, like, you know, like, kind of not hounding for gigs, or not kind of, like, yeah, definitely. Well, look, the long and the short of what happened was, so my son came, and then I wasn't getting many gigs. I didn't have enough I could just about, like, afford for me to live, let alone another mouth. And not that many people's booking me, like, kind of stuff was starting to dry up. Garage music wasn't as popular, like, kind of, it was going down at this time. And I was just like, shit, if no one's booking me, I'm going to do my own events. Like, I'll put them on myself. So I remember, like, I had this little bit of money, like, kind of, probably like 200 quid. That's like kind of, I was signing on at the time. I was on the dole, like, and 1 or 2 gigs, that was it. And I was like, right, I'm going to put my own event on. And I thought of this name, Pure Temptation. That was the name of thought about it in my bedroom. And I was like, right, if no one's booking me, I think I'm a good MC. I'm going to put it on myself, and let's just see what happens. So I went around to a couple of clubs, tried to like ask them, can I put an event on? So everyone's like, nah. And then I found this like crap club. This was a dive. It's called Castle Club in a place called New Southgate in North London, near where I lived. And so I got this place. And then I think all I booked was Martin Liberty Lana. That was it. Like, so he was my mate. And I thought, do you know what? If it goes completely tits up, I've got a good enough relationship to him where I might be able to just about say, Martin, like, because he'd done events as well. Maybe I could go and MC at a couple of his to pay the bill off, or like, I don't know. Do you know that kind of?
Yeah.
So that I strategically chose him because I was like, shit, if this goes bad, I got no money. So what I did was I got got this club, and I had a choice because I didn't have enough money. Like, it was about a month away, so this 200 quid I still had to live on to support my son, and kind of was like, so I could have bought flyers or I could have bought posters. And I was like, shit, what do I do? Like, and I was like, fuck it, I bought posters, yeah? And I went around walking the streets of North London with a bucket and pasting these posters on absolutely anything that wouldn't move, everywhere. Then in between that, I was going on all these different pirate radio stations. Anyone I knew, any DJs, I was like, mate, can I come and MC for you? Like, all of these different ones. Even if it was like 3 a.m. in the morning, I was like, mate, can I come up? And I was just going up there going, don't forget, Pure Temptation, Castle Club. It's going to be absolutely ram jam, sardine can. It's going to hype.
Yeah.
And then loads of people was going to me, Sam, you do know this club's really shit, right? I don't think anyone's going to go. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this club's going to be rammed. Yeah? They're like, why? I was like, mate, they've had to order in more security for this. They're like, you joking? I was like, mate, it's going to be absolutely ramo. Really? I walked away. How do I know if it's going to be ramo? I don't know.
But you just spoke to everyone about it.
Mate, even my closest friends, the closest people to me, I told them how rammed this night was going to be, yeah? Because I don't even know why I did this, but I just thought it all comes from the spider, yeah, and it will spider web out. Now, if everybody...
Yeah, everyone's going to turn around and be like, mate, have you heard this club's going to be absolutely rammed?
100%. Look, so I literally, I was going on the radio, I was plastering these posters. Everyone's like, I've seen them posters everywhere. I was walking the streets doing it, like, kind of mental.
So good.
Literally. So, like, but I had no clue if it was going to be busy. I did not know. I was like, in those days, there's pay on the door, so you don't buy tickets.
I bet the night was like...
Mate, I walked up there, like, got to the club. As I walked up, yeah, I was like, fucking hell, there's a queue all the way down the road. What? Before it even opened, I was like, what? Oh my gosh. And it was rammed from there. And it was rammed from that moment. Yeah, this shit club. It honestly is awful. Like, but then so that was the start of Pure Temptation, the first event there that I did in that club.
How long did you do it in the club for?
I just did that one, and then so like that
I
one.
bet the owner was like, please don't go, please.
Yeah, no, he was that mate. That's busy as his club had ever been, I think. And then like from there, yeah, I went. There was another club in Tottenham, and it was called Rudolph's. Now, Rudolph's was not by far the best club in the world at all. It is a pretty dive. It's a bit of a Sharon and Tracy club, really. They never had no kind of like garagey type clubs. It's like, there's not really pop music, yeah?
Sharon.
Is that an old school saying, isn't it? You know
yeah. But it's straight away, you just picture the Sharon and Tracy, like, excuse me, can you turn the music down, please?
Yeah, know what I mean? Yeah. If you got any 80s, but yeah, so I went in there and I went and had a look at. I knew Maxine, like the bouncer there, and she said, "Come and have a look." So I went in there and I just saw this vision. I was like, "This club's actually all right," and it was right at the entrance to Tottenham football grounds. It's right there, and I was like, "Shit, this could be all right." So I went to find the owner, and like everyone that like had told me is like, this owner is hard work.
Yeah.
Hard work, this guy. Like kind of old school gangster, like white gangster guy. And, but mate, I just got on with him like house on fire. I said to him, look, can I do an event here? He's like, what have you done? I was like, I rammed out Castle Club. Obviously, like, he's like, don't even know what Castle Club is, mate. Like, that's how shit that one was. Anyway, so he was like, I'll tell you what then, I'll give you a trial. You can do Christmas Eve. Now, I didn't realise, yeah, like I know this from being in the game for years and years. Now, Christmas Eve sounds like a good date, possibly, Christmas Eve. It ain't. It's a very bad date to put an event on because nobody wants to go and party all night and then spend Christmas Day with their family hanging. Like, so it's a real hard date to do, but I didn't know that. Anyway, I was like, lovely, cool, I'll take Christmas Eve. Now, at this time, like, so the event at Castle Club probably made me 600-700 quid or something. It was nothing to write home about, but at the time that was fantastic money for me. I thought I was a millionaire, mate.
Yeah. Better than 15 quid.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Better than the 15 quid Ayia Napa days. So like I had this and I'd bought like this old banger car. We went to this car lot, not car lot, what are they called?
Car park?
I didn't buy a car park. Yeah, robbed one. And that was the end of that. No, so yeah, auction. That was the word I was looking for. So yeah, we went to this auction and I bought a car for 100 quid. Yeah, it's crap old Ford Fiesta. So I was driving the car and so I had this car. Now, so with this money, so this was about a 2-month gap between the first Pure Temptation and the second one. So by the time we got to it, like we're spending like obviously the nappies and everything I had to get for my son, living, phone bill, this and that. Same scenario. I literally just had enough money for like posters. Now this was like Rudolph's was a different scale to that.
Yeah, much bigger.
A lot bigger. It wasn't even massive. It's probably like 700 people, I think, like the capacity was. Or probably legally about 550, but you could ram more in there. But, so, by the time it got to the event, like, and I booked a couple more. I think I booked my couple more MCs. Like, I thought, let me give it, I'm going to have to put someone better on the lineup to get on there. Same thing, I'm running around all the pirate radio stations, bigging it up. Don't forget, Pure Temptation, Christmas Eve. Smashed the posters absolutely everywhere. So much so that I literally, so it's Christmas Eve, I had no money. I hadn't even bought my son a Christmas present. I hadn't bought any of my family, like nothing, because I'd spent every last penny on glue to like wallpaper paste and brushes and petrol to just drive around. Because by this time, I'm having to do quite a bit of London, like put out the posters, because I know it's a bit more of a capacity rather than just a local bit. Mate, it got so bad, I remember like I had to borrow 10 quid from my little sister Holly, like, and just to go, look, can you lend me £10 just so that I can put petrol in the car so I can just put up like the rest of these posters, which she lent me. Like my little sister, like I had to do that. Anyway, we were driving to the venue Christmas Eve, me and her. She was going to do the till for me on the night. And by this time, same thing. I was telling everyone it's going to be rammed. They're like, Rudolph's? They don't have raves in Rudolph's. That's like, what's that? Like a pop club or like, do you know what I mean? Everyone's laughing. I'm like, trust me, it's going to be rammed. Like, same scenario, spiderweb it out. But I had no idea. Like, if it was, it wasn't. And we got there. We didn't actually, we was about a mile away and my car ran out of petrol. I had no more money. Literally was a mile away from the place. And the owner's ringing me. The club was meant to open 15 minutes ago because me and my sister like jogging there. And he's like, where are you? I was like, oh, mate, I'll be there in a minute. And we'd had just had nothing. Like, I did not have a pound to my name and borrowed a little bit here and there. Mate, walked around that corner. The queue was 3 times what we saw outside Castle Club.
No way.
All the way down Tottenham High Road. Me and my sister just stopped. We were running. I remember, like, we just looked at each other, like, what the fuck? Like, whoa. Like, I had goosebumps. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. And then so, like, we're kind of walking past the queue. Everyone's like, what, you're late for your own party? Like, what's going on kind of thing. Anyway, that went sick. That went absolutely sick that night. That was Christmas Eve. And then he gave me, the owner there was like, right, I'm going to give you every Friday at that club And that started on the last Friday of January. So like a month later, and that was it. And I called that Karess, with a K, Karess Records. I say Karess Records, I'm about to launch my new record label now, after all of these years of going back to the same name. But
that is allowed to be public knowledge, right?
Yeah. Look, the first release is on 18th of March.
Nice.
Look out for it.
You heard it here first on Daniel Lee's podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually ruined that because I could have told you right there at the end. At the end of it. But yeah, that was Karess every Friday in there. And
how was that night? Like, talk us through the feeling of seeing all these people. How many people actually turned up?
If I had to have a gamble, I'd say around about 500. Like 500-600, which at the time for that club, like, I mean, they used to have like 30 to 80 people in there normally. Like, that was like, that's just in this kind of dive club in Tottenham. But it was rammed. And then what I did, I launched that every Friday party, and that just went sick. It went absolutely and that then ran for 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, like every Friday. Then after a year of doing that, after the first year, another club in East London called Purpley Free, and that's right next door to Bow Station. They approached me and they said, yeah, Sam, come and have a chat with us. So I went there. I'd kind of heard of this club. I hadn't been there before. And they said to me, look, that their club was nice. Purpley Free was a sick club. Like, this wasn't like kind of like getting away with getting people in a bit of a fucking shit one. And then, so they said to me, they was like, look what you've done with that crap club in Tottenham. What could you do with ours? Why don't you move your event here? And I was like, no, I don't want to move the event. The owner's been good to me. Like, kind of, I don't want to, and it's going well. But I will do every Saturday, because that's every Friday. Karess every Friday. I was like, I'll do every Saturday. And they were like, all right, cool. And that was it. So was that exactly 1 year later, to the day, the very last weekend in January, 1 year later, I started Nookie, brand new name, like at Purpley Free every Saturday, and then that ran for another, I think, 2.5, 3 years.
Same thing.
So
packed out first night.
Packed out. But what I did there, yeah, I didn't tell everyone I was doing it every week. So I just did, because by this time, in between, I was still doing Pure Temptation events that's here and there, and I was trying to make that like the big daddy. So like Pure Temptation was my brand, but then my big brand, but then Karess was the little sister, or kind of, that's in my own head. That's how I looked at it. So I then I did a Pure Temptation in Purpley Free on that, but I just told everybody it's like a one-off. I didn't tell everyone I had it every week. Nobody, didn't tell no one. So what I did was, and I absolutely went to town on it, rammed this club for the first time in East London. And what I did was, I got all of these passes made, all of these free entry for the next any Saturday in February. As soon as you came in, there was posters all around the club saying every Saturday Nookie, every Saturday, boom. And then I launched it off of the back of doing a big one-off, and I booked DJ EZ for the first opening night. Wow. So I was just like, right, if I do Pure Temptation, and it was a big gamble, because I did Pure Temptation, and I was like, if it's not rammed, this is going to crash the next week. Do you know what I mean? But I just knew. So, and I also only had 1 week to promote this new Nookie event with DJ EZ, which is unheard of at the time. You wouldn't just promote a rave in 1 week. Yeah. But
it's usually six to 8 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. So but I thought, it's better to launch it this way. Did it, mate, rammed. Pure Temptation was rammed. Everyone came back the next weekend because they were like, what, DJ EZ's in Purpley Free? And all of these links of all of these artists all came from my Ayia Napa days. That's why I said I would never be, as I became friends with everyone. Met everybody in those days.
So how much money were you making at this point?
Well,
because you go from, I mean, do you know what? And the thing is, this podcast is on entrepreneurial. We chat to a lot of entrepreneurs, and I feel like one of the harshest things that could have happened to musicians and artists during the pandemic is they weren't saw as entrepreneurs and business owners.
Yeah.
They were a business, they're a business. And what we're talking about here right now is such an inspirational, like, entrepreneurial story. Like,
it's plucked money from nowhere, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And bearing in mind, like, you've set up a night from 200 quid in the worst club in London to get it to the point of where they're rammed out and clubs are approaching you. But back to the question. So you went from earning absolutely nothing to then what was the sort of money you were earning from these events then?
Mate, it was going well. My deal at Rudolph's club, the every Friday one, Karess, wasn't a great deal, but yeah, I mean, it's still making me, like, kind of, I don't know, 50,000-60,000 a year, like, just like kind of on doing that. But then Purpley free deal, because by this time I'm getting a bit wise to the game. I'm a year in, like, kind of. So yeah, I negotiated a sick deal, and Purpley free made me a lot of money. Like, it's kind of footballer money at that point.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe QPR footballer, but
but with that, did you find? I mean, did you have a business brain on the whole time, or did you kind of get sucked into that DJ lifestyle? MC lifestyle, because it's like I mean, I admit it. You know, when I was DJing like 3-4 times a week, mate, most of the time I was getting drunk pretty much all the time. And when you got that, and then, but not even that, like, just when you've got such a good vibe on the background, it's like it just comes hand in hand, right? So did you ever get swallowed into that lifestyle?
No, like at all. Like, I was so tunnel vision. In fact, I didn't even care at this point while all of these are happening about Supplier. I mean, I enjoyed, like, jumping on stage, of course, that was a buzz, and but that wasn't my focus. I used to put my name at near the bottom of the flyer, or I was just like, I was focused on making the events big, making money, and I kind of forgot about myself, really, and like, not forgot myself because I enjoyed it, but that wasn't my main focus. That came kind of down the list.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I wasn't ever, like, kind of I wasn't in the party. I was partying, but to be fair, I was working every single day, out flyering, postering, on pirate radios, bigging up the stuff. That I didn't really, like, my night off was the event, if that made sense.
Yeah.
And I still had to work. Obviously, I had to be switched on and deal with everything.
And obviously in this time you're caring for your child, you know what I mean? So
exactly. And then, but I mean, so much so that I was so tunnel vision with it all that it split me and my son's mum up, like, just because I was an absolute workaholic, and that's definitely something I regret.
Yeah,
for sure. But
why did it break you up though? Because surely she would have appreciated the guy that you once were to the guy that you were becoming.
I was just never home, ever. I'd go out at blinking nearly every night. I'd go out at 8 o'clock until 6 in the morning, putting up posters, or standing outside clubs handing out flyers, or, like, kind of going on radio stations bigging up. I was permanently out, and just kind of never around. And
do you ever regret that from a perspective of also, like, the relationship you had with her, but at the same time missing out on those early days with your son?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, so we split up in kind of just after he was born, and then for like 3 years, for his first 3 years, and then after 3 years, I was like, look, we didn't really split up for a massive reason. Neither of us, like, cheated on each other, or it didn't kind of, wasn't not a definitive reason. So I was just like, look, let's give it another go. Like, kind of, she to be fairness, she didn't really jump out, but we got back together. Because I wanted a relationship with my son as well, and I wanted him to know I'm his dad. And then so then we got back together for about 5 years. Then 5 years, like, it didn't pan out, like, obviously, like, how I would have liked it, but life's life.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy and content with myself that I gave it a go, and I'm glad that I did.
Yeah.
With her, and she's my mate. I
was going to say, how's
love
the
her.
relationship now?
Yeah, I absolutely love her. We're friends, like we still are now, all these years later. Like,
and again,
she's
like,
wicked.
that situation is just just goes to kind of show, I mean, I know it takes two to tango, so obviously she's obviously going to be a quality person as well, but just kind of shows your mentality as well, because there's so many people now. I mean, like, how many friends have you got? And how, like, even me, my mum and dad don't talk. Like, my dad hates my mum, like, hates her.
Yeah.
And it's like, to be able to be in that situation where, okay, cool, okay, we didn't work out, but we can still be friends. You know what I mean? Like, you spent a period of your time together. You had a child together, and it's such a good thing.
Well, for sure. I mean, obviously, as soon as we broke up, just put a couple of years where we weren't best of friends.
Yeah.
But like our relationship,
you got through it.
Yeah, our relationship's like it's good. For sure.
So, how many nights did you end up having?
So in this period now, I had every Friday in Rudolph's, every Saturday in Purpley Free, Karess and Nookie. But I was also doing at this time, Pure Temptation was like the big one. So these clubs kind of held like 700 each, yeah. But then Pure Temptation at this point, I started getting offers now in the real big clubs, and there was one in North London, especially called Eros. It held like 2,300, 2,400 people.
Wow.
And this club, when I walked in there, I'd never been to Ibiza before, yeah. I was like, that's what I imagine Ibiza to be, you know, like all the lights on the ceiling move and like this like lighting rig, this massive club. Yeah, so I remember I walked into this Eros club and, mate, just mental. Absolutely, like, blew my mind. But because I'm from North London, I'd been in this club loads. That was like the club we used to go, like kind of just like partying. They used to have like grab a granny night on like a Wednesday and 80s nights, and that was just the club because it was like massive. And then they approached me, and I was like, "What? I can do Pure Temptation in here? What?" So yeah, and so I started doing them there, mate. It got absolutely like rammed out, like so it was full cap, like 2,300, 2,400 people. And then at that point, they then gave me the first Saturday of every month. So I had every Friday like in Karess, every Saturday Nookie, and then the first Saturday every month I was like, and it's the big one. Then at this point, because Pure Temptation was starting to get like really like big at the time, so then I started to get these offers from like all of the Greek islands, like Kos, like was like there was like, oh, like they was getting in contact with me and said, oh, we'd like to do Pure Temptation in Kos. I was like, what? So I was like, boom. So it ended up after like 2 years of that. So I then had Pure Temptation in Kos every Monday. I had it in Faliraki every Tuesday, Malia every Wednesday, and Zante every Thursday.
Oh my God.
Then I'd come back and like and I've obviously Karess at Rudolph's like on a Friday, Purpley Free on a Saturday, maybe Pure Temptation. So I think it was at one point I think that Sunday was the only day I didn't have a party.
So you're literally traveling to all these different islands every day? Yeah,
but I was probably going every other week because like I had like my sister on one island, another mate I trusted, like my mate Kenny, he was sick smashing Kos for me, and Faliraki, Holly was in Zante, and my mate Charlesy was doing Malia. So yeah, it's kind of, and I was just going every other week really. To be fair, mate, I was going around, like I was just collecting money. I was literally going there. I was collecting last week's takings and that week's takings. Boom.
Oh my God! And
mate, I remember like literally having to like say to like some of my boys, I was like, mate, can you bring a couple of grand back for me? Like, I was asking people, like, 'cause it's too much, like.
And how long did the nights go on for?
So, how many years?
Yeah.
So, probably a good 2 or 3 years. Probably 3 years doing that. Then what happened? I moved the Friday. Because I was on such a bad deal on the Karess one of the first ever weekly every Friday I did. I kept asking like the owner, like, change my deal. Because obviously I realised what I was making in the other clubs. All of a sudden, this kind of seemed a bit like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And he wouldn't change the deal. He's hard work. So I left there and went to a club down the road called Opera House. which was a bigger and better club. This was the club that people wanted to go to in North London. And then, I started a new name there, Raunchy, called it Raunchy every Friday. And and that went new lease of life. Boom, that was sick. Purpley Free, still going every Saturday. And then, so at the time, all of this is going on. I'm still doing like all of this pirate radio stuff, and doing loads of because I still loved pirate radio. That was still like from a kid doing all of this. And then I was spending so much money advertising on all of these different radio stations because I was putting my adverts on, and the adverts was like making a tune. People now still sing the adverts to me, like even now, like because I used to put like little snippets, or I used to get my sister Faith. She used to sing one of the jingles on it, and everyone sung it. And it was, to me, it was just audio marketing because I thought, right, if everyone's walking around singing the name of the event.
Yeah,
sick, and it worked. It was like making a Mate,
tune. Now, honestly, I'm sitting here right, and I can. If you're not watching the YouTube channel right now, this podcast, please go over to it because my face is just. Like my brain is just going. This guy is so fucking clever. Like, and especially this is not even a day in social media. This is a day of like before. Anyway, sorry about that. Carry on, please.
Good.
So everyone's singing these jingles. What was the jingle?
You didn't even get iPhones in them. That like
exactly,
weren't quite even at iPhone stage.
So you'd have to stream the internet, like.
Mate, internet was that even a thing? Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, so wow, it was literally just on pirate radio.
So what we would have been. Yeah, those days there. So we're probably at around about this stage, 2008.
Yeah,
around about 2008.
Yeah, that was literally the day where you'd have to go. I remember because I was in Malia and I did seasons there, and I remember when I set up my first Facebook account and I had to go to an internet cafe and pay €2 to get an hour internet.
Yeah,
you know?
Remember that. Yeah, I remember doing the same when I'm over there.
And is that when your pirate radio was born?
Yeah, so because I was spending so much money on all of these stations, like advertising. And I worked it out, and I was like, because I had so many events. I was like, by this time as well, I was 195 in Epping. I had with a partner. That was the only one I had a partner in. Misled. I was doing that every Friday. That was another one. We then got Ink Club in '02, which I teamed up with my other mate Yankee. Was doing posh funk in there. Like all this, mate. It's just mental how many events like I had on.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I worked out. All of these adverts, I'm funding, literally funding all of these different stations just from, and I was like, I think I need my own one. Like, why the hell am I doing this? Do you know what I mean? So, and it's not that easy to get a pirate radio station. Like, and I know that kind of we've I'm not sure how long we spoke for, but the podcast was initially directly about pirate radio, but this is how it kind of got to this.
Yeah.
And where it all went mental, like for me. And so basically, I managed to get a station with a partner, like who you have to like to get a pirate radio in London. It's an underworld. They're illegal because you're not paying for your license. They're illegal because the transmitters are illegal. And the aerials, and also they're illegal because technically you want to get your aerials up in the highest possible places that you can get them, which means you're trespassing because you're going to be on top of tower blocks, or you're going to be kind of, I mean, these are all very minute crimes, but that's why they're pirates and they're not legal. So yeah, teamed up and we started this station. And it was called True FM, 100.2 FM on the dial, and it's really hard to even find a space. So basically, the rule with pirate radio is you have to be 3 digits in between each station, if that makes sense. So if you've got like 106 and it need to be 106.3. If you're at 106.3, it need to be 1066, like, and so on. Yeah, that's kind of. But you can just do it just on 2 away. But sometimes there's a little bit of bleed in certain places.
Yeah, it kind of clashes a bit.
Yeah, we've all been in a car at some point, and you hear a kind of one radio cutting into another, or kind of, and that's what happens. That's why ideally it should be 3. But anyway, so we just kind of bullied in at 2 away from 2 of them, and then so we did that. I left. So it was a big thing. So my radio show, I was doing this station. At the time called Shine FM, and I was doing it every Friday. And in London, like, that show that I was doing was massive. It was absolutely like huge doing this. And I knew that I had to do that show because I wasn't necessarily doing the shows because for me as an artist, because at the time I wasn't really making music. Like it was more like I love radio, but I was like, don't forget, this coming Friday we've got whoever, Norris the Boss Windross, like at Karess. Don't forget, this coming Saturday, Nookie, we've got, I don't know, whoever, Kenzie from Big Brother. Do you know what I mean? So like, and I'm just there hyping, I'm giving away guest lists, I'm doing competitions. So really for me, I was just using that show. I was trying to make the show sick so everybody loved it, but as a platform to big up what I had on.
Yeah.
Anyway. No, I was worried because I was like, shit, if I leave this show, I've built this show up, like I was doing it for like a couple of years, I've built this show up, it's probably like, well, almost definitely the biggest show on that station at the time. It's a wicked station, loads of good people in there, but that's definitely the busiest one. And I was like, shit, if I leave and my station goes down the Swanee, or it's not good, because it's hard to keep a pirate radio on. Lots of the authorities clamp down on you, other radio stations nick your transmitters, like it's hard work. We'll talk about that in a sec.
Sounds so rogue.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec. But then I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. So what I did was I literally left. We got the station up and going. I didn't tell no one it was me. So the station, there was a little overlap of about a week where the station was on, but I hadn't gone on it yet. And then what I'd been doing, so I was like, how do you have a pirate radio station and all of a sudden make everybody listen to it? Do you know what I mean? How would you know there's a new radio station to tune into? So what I was doing at all of my events prior, like kind of for a couple of years, every single person that came in the doors, I was OCD with database. So you had to come, anyone that came into my event, you had to give me your mobile number. You had to sign in. It was like, right, sign in on mobile number, right, it's £10, boom. And that's what we used to do. So I had, I reckon at one point I had 80, 90,000 mobile numbers all put in on a system.
Wow.
A whole lot was all in on a system where I could go on and literally type a message and text out the whole lot. It's quite expensive to do it, but like it was
worth its weight in gold,
mate. Because I would text people like. And what I did is I split them into groups. So I was like, right, have all of those as your East London Purpley free lot. Have all of those as your North London, now at this point, Opera House lot. And this kind of, so I knew that I was like, right, send all the Opera House lot, let them know we got EZ this week. Send all them lot, whoever we've got, like Heartless Crew this week. And just kind of did it like that, yeah? Separated them all. But then, right at the bottom of the message, I'd put, and don't forget the big one, Pure Temptation, Eros nightclub, but I would send that to both. You know, that'd be at the bottom. Anyway, I was like, right, what can I do to make this station like massive? So I timed it. You can set like on a computer system. You was able to set a schedule when it would go out, the actual message. So I set it for the start of my show. The day I left, and I did the exact same time on True FM. Everyone's like, what, Supplier's left Shine FM after 2 years, like the biggest show, and then it's gone on True FM. What's this? So what I did was I worked out you could do the sender ID on the text message, yeah. So I could do it if I wanted. I could do it from like Danny's podcast, I could write whatever I wanted.
Yeah. Mate, so you put it down as True FM.
I put it as True 100.2 FM, yeah, mate. I went bam, mate. 90,000 people, yeah. Just got a text message saying True. They were like, what's True 100.2 FM? Mate, instantly, that radio station became the biggest radio station in London. Instantly. That moment.
Oh my God.
That moment. because like I still sent the message, yeah, because the message had to be like worthy of like because it was costing me. So in that message, it was still going. When you read the actual message, yeah, we've got whoever at Purple Heat 3, or we've got whoever at Opera House, but the actual sender was True 100.2 FM, mate. Oh my gosh, it went mental. It went absolutely.
Did you get a track of like how many people were listening, or?
Mate, you can't on pirate radio, but the way that you know is because you give out a phone line number and everyone texts in for shouts, or they one ring the phone, mate. So it went from not ringing, sent it, and everyone's like ding 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 ding. The phone is going mental, mate. But and then what we used to do is we used to like so you want to create like regular listeners and you want to create on it. So we used to save everyone's name in the phone book, whatever their names was, So we said, send through a business card, and we used to go boom, save. So it might be Lady Longlegs or whatever they want to call themselves, So we used to save them, and then what they always used to do is just one ring the phone, and then their name would pop up, be like, big up Lady Longlegs, big up Cheryl, big up Mike from Bow, because they're just one ring in the phone, letting you know they're locked in. So mate, after about 2 weeks, I had 3 phones in there, all like studio, like 3 phones permanently in the station, full to the brim, like the whole SIM card, the whole actual phone, however many they held, like 1,000 numbers or something. Mate, imagine you had a phone and you can't save another number in it; it's full. Have you ever had a phone that you can do that? Do you know what I mean, mate? We had 3 sitting in there, mate. The station went absolutely mental. So now what I did was,
How often was it on for? Like, was it on every day?
24/7.
And did you have recordings playing, or did you actually have other hosts?
So at the time, I probably had about 10 DJs.
Yeah.
And this is what I said to everyone. I said to that, you got to bear in mind, I'm probably like one of, if not the biggest like promoter in London for that style of music at the time. I said to everyone, right, if you're not on my radio station, you don't play at my events. I'm not booking any person that is not on True FM. Mate, that was it. Everyone was just like, well, I want to be on True FM then.
Yeah.
And I also said, this station is going to be the elite. It's the best of the best.
Yeah.
So I said to everyone, it's the best of the best. Because at this point, there was probably 15 pirate stations doing similar music, in London, just in London alone. There was other ones doing all like Turkish music, Polish music, drum and bass, but our style of music, probably 10 to 15. And I was like, right, True FM is the best of every station, all came into one. And if you're not on my station, you don't play at my events. I'm not going to book anyone else, other than, of course, your big like headlining acts. But everyone else on the lineups will just be that. Mate, it was like everyone was begging to like leave where they were, whatever station they're on, and come on. Like it was a bit. It actually caused me a lot of arguments with other stations because I was like nicking their DJs essentially. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And on top of that, they've gone from I'm not advertising on them anymore. All these other stations, I'm like, I'm not paying no money. Like I'm not advertising you no more. So one of those things like in business, you've got to have an element of I don't want to say sharkiness because
nah, it's not, mate. You're
let's say ruthless.
But the thing is, like, no, mate. Like
I'm
right.
I'm funding your station.
That's a business strategy.
Yeah.
Like, do businesses at the end of every year turn around and look at their books and go, right, how can I make more profit and make more revenue? That's what you did.
Yeah.
You literally just went, I'm going to make more money. How do I make more money, mate? There's no sharkiness in that at all. And do you know what? The thing is, people that get bitter about that are the ones that know they've dropped the ball and their ego gets far too much in place.
Especially in pirate radio.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, I think everyone in business, regardless of pirate radio, whatever it is, they get pissed because they didn't have what you had. It's nothing about you taking anything like that. It's not like you said, like, I'm like, if you don't, you know, X, Y, or Z, you should do this or you shouldn't do that. It was like, okay, listen, if you want to play at my events, which are the biggest in London, you've got to plan my show, mate.
That's it.
That's a strategic business move.
That's what happened, mate. So within about a month, the station was completely full, 24 hours a day,
With
7
DJs.
days a week.
So everyone was playing at different hours of the day.
2 hour sets permanently. Like, there was not a space on the station.
Wow.
And it was ran regimental. I'm like, this was like, it was full blown. Like, you make a mistake or like anything, you're off. And I sacked. What I did was, there was a couple of big names, and they mucked around a little bit at the start, and I sacked them, and everyone was like, whoa. I never thought he'd get rid of him. But I did that just to like show the example of like, listen, anyone can go at any point, yeah? Like, don't, if you're going to be on there, like, respect what you're on. You're on the biggest thing right here. And I made everybody feel that they were on this big thing, like, which they was. Yeah. And I was like, respect it. So, yeah. But anyway, the thing that comes with pirate radio you got to remember now, pirate radio it's illegal, and we policed it ourselves, because you can't call the police for something you're doing illegally. So what happens with a lot of pirate radio, and it always has done, it wasn't a new thing at the time, it's happened for years. A lot of people that like would steal each other's transmitters. So a transmitter would cost around about 300 quid, maybe 350, yeah? And then your aerials, around about, I'm trying to remember now, it's like 70, 80 quid on top of that, yeah?
Yeah.
So that was like your kind of setup. But you always wanted to get your transmitter and your aerials on the highest point in London, the thing that you could find, because obviously the higher you are, the further it will transmit to.
Yeah.
And your studio would be whatever, anything up to 1-2 miles away. And you linked the studio to the roof via a microwave horn. Now, the microwave horn...
A microwave horn?
Yeah, so that... And basically, it shoots like a microwave signal across. So you'd have to... You can be 2 miles away, but you'd have to be in eyesight. So say, for instance, you was in a kind of just a house. Then as long as you could see from one of the windows in that house, the top of the tower block, 2 miles away, because you obviously can see tower blocks from miles and miles,
yeah.
Then your microwave horn would link to it. That's what used to happen. It would link across, and that's how you did it.
It's actually quite a technical kind of process then.
Yeah. But bad thing about it, so these microwave horns, what they were, yeah, like they're actually, have you ever seen, especially in the UK, on top of traffic lights, they have these like little cameras on top. And sometimes, I don't know if everybody knows this little trick, you can flash your lights and the lights change. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Anyway, they are microwave horns, what's on there. So, mate, we used to climb on top of the traffic lights and nick them. That's how we was getting them. That's like, yeah, so whenever we needed one, it's like, oh, mate, we have to climb out the fucking traffic lights and get them. So we used to try and find the quietest traffic lights that had them on somewhere. Like, and just hope the old building drive around the corner while we got a ladder on top of the on top of the lights.
And I mean, like, while this is all going on, so like, I mean, was there any like violence involved?
Yeah, so it's wait, mental. Honestly, it's absolutely crazy, because now if someone nicks your transmitter, and so what would happen is, I reckon the radio used to go off air probably every other day, maybe every 3 days.
So every 3 days people are nicking your stuff?
Well, when it goes off, are they nicking it, or is it Ofcom, and they're the people that regulate pirate radio? Well, they regulate all radio and TV and everything. I think they regulate BBC and everything, but Ofcom they're the people that will take you off air and regulate what's going on, what isn't. So when you go off air, you don't know if it's Ofcom have gone on the roof and seized all your equipment, or is it someone's just got up there, broke the locks off and nicked your transmitter, which always everyone would do that. I was in a lucky position because I had all of these events, but 9 out of 10 stations aren't like that. They didn't have events, or they might do one in a blue moon, or they just did it because they love radio, which was essentially, I just did it in a different way than everyone else. So it like financially it was a little bit different for me. But so you'd be like warring the minute that went off. Oh, by the way, the reason that you also have your studio a couple of miles away, because it's very, very hard for Ofcom to track where your studio is.
Yeah.
Whereas it's easy for them to work out where your aerials are. So that if you had your studio where your aerials are, they're going to catch you and nick you and take all your decks and all of the stuff that really cost the money. That's why the studios are in, and they're in a different place as well. In kind of layman's terms, that kind of explaining the pipe radio scenario. And it was always top secret. Absolutely nobody can know where the studio is. All of the DJs, you don't bring your girlfriends, you don't bring your mates. If you bring in a record bag with vinyls, then you put it in a rucksack. Don't make that look like a record bag. Everything was like strict. Anybody like sees like you going in there, you're going to a recording studio. Don't tell none of your mates. If we found out you told any of your mates where it is, you're instantly off. Like, it's real secret. 2 reasons. One, the biggest one, you don't want to be caught by Ofcom and it spreads, someone grasses you up.
Yeah.
Secondly, you don't want any of the other 15, 20 stations finding where you are, because if there was a time where there's no one up there, then not only do they rob the aerials, they'll come and rob your whole studio. And that was happening a lot to different stations. The studios are getting robbed.
Yeah. And if you haven't got the money to keep paying for all this equipment, then...
Mate, just what I'm saying. They're going to come... And which goes back to what I said a minute ago about... And they rob your studio because it can't be policed. Because what are you going to do? Like go and grass or ring out old Bill and say that, oh, my studio has been robbed. Well, we shouldn't be doing it anyway, should you? See you later. Do you know what I mean? So you have to police it amongst yourselves. Like, kind of... And so that's kind of how the kind of basic thing of how it was working with pirate radio.
And you're obviously making a lot of money, but when there's violence involved, was there ever a moment where you just thought, it's just not for me?
No, not the violence wise. Like, I had to go and do a lot of things when we had the pirate radio station, because especially where we were the new one on the block, and a lot of these stations have been around 10 years or something, so they were like kind of, no, I'm not having it, these lots stealing all the DJs, stealing all the listeners, kind of. So that I had a lot of problems, and I did a lot of things at that point that I had to take a deep breath and go in front.
Yeah.
Without going into it too much. Like, I delved into that so much so, but yeah, like, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of stuff. There's I mean, big thing with, I try to sugarcoat it and say it, a big thing with some stations, which actually was bad because it made Ofcom and the authorities like become more, shut these pirate radios down, because if someone had stole someone's rig, like transmitter and their whole setup, the minute it goes off air, all of us have jumped in the car and raced to the tower block, because you want to catch, because if they're on the 26th floor, you want to try and get there. By the time they get down, they're coming out of that door. Yeah. Mate, and if you catch him, it's going mad, and there's a lot of shootings, and there's a lot of stuff like that.
Wow.
It was going mad. Because also, you got to remember, London's a tough place, and there's a lot of pride and a lot of kind of, you need to respect what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, and the thing is with that is that you are stuck, because even if you don't want to take that route, if you don't take that route, you then become the victim.
Of course.
You know, this guy doesn't know how to take care of himself, so I'm going to go and do it again. Mate, and again and again and again.
See that there, the boys that went around doing different stations there, they just call it eating up, and that was the saying. It was like, we're going to go and eat them. And there was certain stations, if they knew they were weak, they kept nicking their transmitters, kept nicking aerials. If they knew there's no one at the studio, someone had grasped, told them where it was, boom, we're going to eat their studio. Wow. And that was going on all of the time. So, and I was like, no, it ain't fucking touching me.
Yeah.
So and I was real I'm a nice person, do you know what I mean? But I was I'm not being mugged off, and I'm going into this world of pirate radio. Mate, another thing everyone argues about is tower blocks, because there's only a certain amount of tower blocks in London. So people would be like, no, that's my roof. But like, what do you mean it's your roof? That because you can only have one radio aerial on a roof. Because if you've got 2 or 3, Ofcom are just going to be like, definitely let's go to that block. We're going to take 3 of them off in one hit. Do you know what I mean? So you'd all have your own roofs. Now, really hard to get the keys to get on a roof. Really hard. So like, and that.
How did you get them then?
I'll tell you this story. This is how we got the keys. So basically, yeah.
I assume this is the first time you've told anyone about this, yeah?
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever saw how we got these keys. Definitely on any form of video or podcast, that's for sure. So I bumped into this fireman at the bottom of one of the blocks. Now the firemen, they call it a master girder. Now these girder keys. And the girders would open. So imagine if you go to the top of a tower block here, of like kind of X amount of floors, there'll be like a trap door. Like, as you can imagine, like going into a loft in a house or something, and there'd be these real, like, kind of expensive, like, locks on there, And you'd have to have that key to get through it, And then you might go through that, and then there's another door when you get through it, and you need a different key, because they know that they don't want people getting on the roofs. Do you know what I mean? That'd be horrendous. People can commit suicide or pirate radios or whatever the reason. They don't know I'm going on the roof. So, mate, really hard to get the keys. And the thing is, you can't smash the locks off. Well, you could,
But then everyone's got access to that roof.
Exactly that. Yeah. So that's the problem. It's really hard to smash it. But not only that, you're going to cause so much attention. People live on these top floors. So when we used to climb up on the roofs, mate, we're tiptoeing. Phones on silent, everything, Because if someone walks out their front door while someone's standing on my shoulders and I'm lifting him up through the hatch, they'll be like, what the hell are you lot doing? Call the police, boom, we're all getting nicked. Know what I mean? So like, it's all like real quiet. There was other ways of getting on the roofs as well.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. Remind me that in a second, because there's a mental way I was getting on one roof. But anyway, so how I got the keys, there's a fireman come out of the block, and I went up to him, this fireman and that, hey, right, mate, have you got the master girder? He's like, looking at me like, how would I even know what a girder is, or like, how would I know what these keys are? Now, the master girder opened every door in Tower Hamlets, which is a borough in East London, And I was like, he's like, mate, why are you asking that, Mate, I just pulled out 500 quid, like in cash out of my pocket, I said, mate, I'll buy it off you now. I said, I'm going to be honest with you, mate, like, we run a pirate radio station. Like, we just love playing music to people. Like, so I just said to him, like, we love playing music to people. Like, we just want to be on the highest, like, tower block we can. I was just really nicely, I was like, mate, it's 500 quid right there in cash. He's like, mate, I'll lose my job. Like, I have to sign. He goes, I have to sign the key off, and then when I go back, I have to sign it back in. He goes, like, I can't just, like, sell it. And I was like, mate, well, can you think of a way? He looked at me, He was like, my window could have got smashed through it though, couldn't it? I was like, yeah. He's like, I tell you what then, go and smash my window of there was like it was a car, it was like a fire car. I don't know if it's whatever.
Yeah.
It was a car with a fire on the side, whatever, And then it's like, I could always have left the key on the side and someone smashed the window for it. And I was like, all right, cool, wait there then. Bang! Mate, I've never smashed a car window before. I didn't realise how hard it was. It took me about 5 goes. Causing loads of noise, everything. I was like, boom, smash the window. By this point, everyone's looking out the windows, everything. I'm like, quickly ran up to him. I was like, snatch the key, man. Go, cheers, mate. See you later. Gone. Mate, that's how I got the key. And that there, gave me the power to have my radio station at the highest points in East London. Mate, we was getting out to, like, Brighton. We were getting out, like, nearly, like, kind of like Herne Bay way. We was getting, like, everything, the whole within the M25. Everywhere. like and surrounding counties, that this radius of what we were doing was humongous. It was like mental. But they changed these locks after a little while, yeah. They probably changed in maybe 6-7 months. So previous radio stations had been on the block that I was on. They're like, that's our block, that's our block, that's our block. I'm like, well, we ain't got the key, so it ain't your block anymore. But now, so I'm arguing with stations over this. Like, talking like nose to nose, like, if I'm seeing them, I'm like, not your block, mate, you haven't got the key for it, I have. Then now it goes into people want to try and rob me for the key. Do you know that? Anyway, these are all little minute pirate radio wars, but how it goes, how mental pirate radio was, and yeah, there's a lot of violence and a lot of, mate, people nicking each other's records and everything. But I think all of this stuff just comes with a territory that is unpoliced. Does that make sense? It's an underworld. It's London underworld with a lot of egos and people that want respect and want to build themselves a name. And in a world that's not policed, do you know? So it comes with this shit.
So tell me about the other route to the top.
Yeah, the other route. So to get there's another key. Yeah, these keys are so important. Yeah, like to get on these tower blocks in pirate radio, mental. So there was this other key called a drop key. Now, these drop keys are basically this weird key that you push through a hole and it drops down. And they use them for like fires, if there's a like fire emergency. And they often open the main door downstairs, you know, what everybody walks in and out of. Mate, we forever, was like, just to even get in the tower block, we used to have to wait for somebody to walk in. And then kind of run up behind them and like walk in. Because obviously we didn't have the key to get into. There might be, I don't know, 200 people live in these blocks. But we didn't have the actual key to get in downstairs. Yeah. Or if you went at like really early in the morning, then you could press trade. And that's how the postman used to get in. We started learning all of these weird little tricks. Or you'd have to, if you couldn't get in, you'd have to ring a random number. And just say, I can let me in, my mum's locked me out. It's random. That's how we was getting in. But anyway, this one block, So we used to like move tower blocks because obviously it's a bit of a rat race, not getting caught, like kind of and wanting to, I don't know, they change locks or whatever. So you often do move. But there's this one and we couldn't get on the roof, like we didn't have the right key. So my other mate who'd been doing pirate for years, he goes, mate, what we'd do is, he goes, call the lift, When you hear like the lift like get close, stick your drop key in to the little hole in the lift, So we went up to like the 18th floor or something. He said, stick it in, and then what will happen is the lift automatically stops. I was like, all right. He goes, then, so I need to try and explain this so you got it right. So basically what we were doing is we were stopping the lift, before it actually got to the door, standing on top of the lift, on the actual, so not in the lift. Yeah,
on the lift.
On the lift, Wow. Closing the door back, and we're in this massive lift shaft, riding the lift all the way up to the top, top of the fucking lift.
Is that not dangerous?
I mean, my heart was going a bit. Mate, that is how we was getting up there. We was riding the lift to the top, and then when you get to the top of the lift shaft, there was like this little like air vent thing. We just popped the air vent through and like kind of got through it, and that's how we was getting up there.
Wow,
mental, innit, mate? That was scary. But the mad thing about that was, where the air vent was, I didn't like getting on this roof because where the air vent was, you had to swing your legs like kind of to the left. So imagine that if you went straight out of the air vent, you'd fall 26 floors off the side of the building. There was no wall or there was nothing out there, So you had to go through this air vent and swing your legs just to the left and hold on, and they'd be like, yep, I'm on. Mate, and I every time I was shitting myself.
You'd hang on, right, so you hang on into the air vent.
Yeah, so you kind of...
And this is going back onto the top of the lift?
Or get in or out to get on the actual roof. So to go on so the top of the lift shaft had an air vent. The air vent then went onto the actual roof.
Yeah.
But the air vent was, if you directly down, was 26 floors to the floor, like outside.
Wow.
But you could, right next to it was the little wall that was on the roof. So you had to swing your legs off the side of the whole building, and kind of, you could still hold on to the air vent, and put your legs on the floor. Like, I'm trying to do it if I was watching. Mate, my heart was going. I'm like, mate, at this point,
Did anyone ever die from that?
No, not one died, but it was...
It was a hairy moment.
Mate, even my boys, that was a good tower block, so it was really high, yeah. But even my team and that was doing the aerials most of the time. I'd say like I was with them 50% of the time.
Yeah.
Because I was so busy with all of the events. Like, I'm like, get the radio on, get it on, get it on, get it on. So 50% of the time I was with them, 50%. Because I might have been out of the country as well, because I might have been in Kosfalaki, Malia. But if I was back and it went off, then I'm going straight there. Or if there's problems to deal with, I was like the face of it. So I'm arguing with other stations and have to be there to go and front it. So... But I said to the boys, as soon as another tower block like comes available, don't use this one. I don't want it on my conscience that any of you fucking slip off.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty mental.
and then at what point did it really start getting hot with the police?
Yeah, so basically, the station just got massive, yeah, and you got humongous. Now, I remember this is what happened with True FM. Now, we were getting a lot of complaints because we were right next door to Kiss FM, because we were 100.2 and Kiss FM is Kiss 100 in London. So they was right there, and we were probably, in hindsight, like we were probably nicking a lot of their listeners, and kind of, because people would go to tune in Kiss and go, oh, what's this one? I quite like this. Bear in mind, our signal was so powerful, and we're probably playing cooler music, in all honesty. So... That wasn't the idea to nick them, but we probably was nicking them. And we're probably bleeding in, like I said to you earlier, the signal bleeds in a little bit because we were only 0.2 away and not 0.3. So we was too close, really, to them. Now, they was making a lot of complaints. Kiss FM's massive, do you know what I mean? And then Kiss FM at some point was ringing our studio. Going, what are you doing? Turn your pirate radio off. Like, ringing us. Kiss FM was like, what? But mate, we're just rogues. I'm like, fuck off, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mate, what a good idea. But mate, arguing with all these other stations, like, mate, it's going mad. Like, really, it was, especially with all the events going on. I was a lot of problems.
Must have been quite a stressful time as well.
Mate, a lot of problems was happening in my life. Like, a lot of can save that for another podcast on its own, but there was a lot of dangerous things happening to me, especially in a world of cash, like kind of where because at the time, nowadays everybody buys tickets for events.
Yeah.
In those days, there's all pay on the door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, mate, there's a lot of cash like coming out of like events, and there's a lot was going through my fingers. So like, which comes with a lot of like problems. But anyway, like, I was in the studio one Friday afternoon. Well, I was doing my show, and then what we had in the studio, I had this secret camera outside of the studio.
Yeah.
Like, and the reason I had that was because I didn't want any of the DJs banging the door, like, and causing noise to the neighbours. So I was like, look, boys, there's a camera, and the camera's next to the decks where you played, like the little screen. So I was like, as soon as you see the next DJ there, turn the music down, go and let him in, done. DJs just stand there and wait, hopefully they'll notice you. Yeah, that's why we had a camera, just to let people in and out. So I'm doing this show now. I look like, it's only me in the studio on my own. And then, when I realised, basically, I had to do my radio show, like, every week, yeah? Like, wherever I was in the world, I made sure that my flights got me back to do my Friday afternoon radio show, because the amount of revenue, like it was generating, not saying that profits, but if I didn't do that show, my revenue takings like in events would be down a couple of grand a week, because I'm just there hyping up. Don't forget, like I said, this event, that event, this event, that event, giving away guest lists, doing competitions and everything, just hype. So it's really important for me to do the show. So I was there doing it. And I used to do a Wednesday show and a Friday, but I often missed the Wednesday one. But anyway, so I was there this Friday. I looked, I'm looking at, I'm sitting there on my own playing, being typical Supplier, hey, screaming, shouting, having fun, I look at the camera, mate. There was 15 to 20 people standing at the door. I'm like, oh my God, 15, 20 of them. I'm like, what? Who's grassed up where the studio is? How have they found my studio? You know, like kind of, I'm like, oh, mate, I'm going to get weighed in right now. Mate, I'm running around the studio, because what I'd also done is I'd put a metal gate. I'd put this real solid metal gate on the studio door, just so like it's really hard to get into it, So I'm looking, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, mate, I'm worried for my life now.
People or?
Mate, I'm worried for my life.
Or was it police?
About 15, 20 of them. So now I'm like, mate, I'm looking for like a knife, or I'm looking for a bat, or like I'm trying to find a weapon, like, cause just to defend myself. And I'm like, mate, then I'm looking at the window where he was, and this was in this kind of little. They had like the place where the studio was kind of, they had like art studios and kind of this and that, like kind of, but we was soundproof, no one could tell we was in there. Mate, I'm looking at the window, I was like, can I make it? Would I break my legs? I'm looking, can I jump? Like, I'm looking, I'm like, oh mate, and I can hear him smashing the door now. I'm like, oh my God. So then I run back, I look at the camera again. I'm like, oh shit, they got old Bill hats on. And it was police. It wasn't. I thought it was the other one of the other stations ready to come and wait, because I'm arguing with everyone. Yeah. Mate, and I'll be honest with you, truth, it's like a sigh of relief. Yeah. Like, I was like, oh, it's police. Which is strange, because you wouldn't think that, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But honestly, that's how I felt.
Because at least you know they're not going to kill you.
Exactly. Yeah, like, and then I was like, oh shit. But now I'm looking at them now, they got this great big ramming thing trying to go, boom! Boom, trying to ram the door off, like you've seen it in TV shows and that, have you? So they ram it. I'm like, shit, all right, what can I do here? Do you know what I mean? Let's not incriminate myself, like, do you know what I mean? So, and I always heard this rule, like, if you're going to get arrested, that if you're off air at the time, then you technically, well, I wasn't broadcasting, was I on at the time? So there's a thing called a link box, and the link box links to the horn that I said earlier about, it links to the aerial. Mate, I grabbed this link box, it's cut 100 quid, I threw that straight out the window, gone. So now I'm not actually on air, Yeah. I was like, shit, right, what else can I do? Mate, I grabbed my phones, and I was just like, right, delete all, boom. Deleted all on one phone, boom. Delete all of the other phone. I'm looking, they're still coming through, Then literally by the time the second phone, just got deleted, it went boom, put me in cuffs, put my face on the deck. That's boom, put me in.
And then what happened after that?
Mate, it was actually a lot worse. It was a lot worse than I thought. Because, mate, I was a little bit arrogant in a strange way. Because I'm just like, pirate radio, like, fuck that, we'll come back on in a couple of hours as soon as they let me out. Do you know what I mean? But it weren't like that, mate. They threw the absolute book at me, like bad. So they wanted to like fully make an example of me, because at that point I was the biggest station, the person that was making money out of this pirate radio thing, and they were like, "This has to stop. This actually has to stop." And so they nicked me. And Ofcom, so it's Ofcom came with police. They're two different authorities. So Ofcom are the people that run it all, and they need the police to kind of orchestrate it. So anyway, we're walking back to the police van. I'm in cuffs, and Ofcom are upstairs, like bagging up all of the decks, bagging up the whole studio, taking photos, doing everything. And I said to the police, I was like, mate, come on, I'm just a DJ on a pirate radio station playing music. He's like, mate, this is the 4th time we've come to try and get you. I was like, what? He's like, mate, we've sat here, this is the 4th time. He goes, mate, you keep buggering off to Falaraki or something, don't you? So he said to me, I was like, what? And he said, and he was like, I'll tell you what though, mate. He goes, since the first time when we first come to like get you, obviously we had the radio on in the car, yeah? He said, mate, we all listen now. I was like, what? He goes, mate, we all listen to the station. I was like, shut up. Because they just heard it the first time. He's like, yeah. Mate, and I went to Bethnal Green Police Station, and I promise you this is what, so when I'm in there getting my photos done, fingerprints, everything like that, yeah, that's when you get arrested.
And you're like a celebrity?
Mate, this woman, yeah, the woman done it, yeah, this is exactly what she said to me, yeah. She said, she goes, I can't believe it. She goes, I took Amy Winehouse's fingerprints and photos, and now I've taken Supplier's. I can't believe it. Mate, it's 100% what she said to me. I was like, I don't think I'm quite in Amy Winehouse bracket here.
No way.
No, but I'll claim that.
She actually said that?
That's what she said to me.
Oh my God.
And it being fully fully in it. Mate, do you know the funny thing about that, yeah? She came up to me at a festival. I'd headlined a big festival a couple of years ago, which is whatever, 8-9 years later. She goes, remember me? I was like, nah. Like, kind of, like, she's like, oh, I was the policewoman, I took your fingerprints. I was like, oh, fucking hell.
And then...
So she now comes to my shows. How mad's that?
That's crazy. That so, like, and that must have been such a weird place for them, because they must have been like, I fucking love this guy.
She told me she'd listened that she was, because I was listening to True FM this morning, love it.
That's amazing.
But, like...
So what happened then? So what actually...
Mate, what did
you get sentenced with?
So it was bad, really, because I just thought, it's nothing, little rap on the wrist, like it's nothing, yeah. But mate, it was horrendous. They froze all of my bank accounts. I just got a flash X5, brand new X5 at the time. They seized the car.
Because they all said it's illegal money, yeah. Yeah,
proceeds of crime. It's called POCA. Then they. Mate, I had cash in the car, I had other stuff. They then went and arrested my girlfriend at the time. They then, mate, loads of stuff, like, mate, loads of us was getting nicked, like, it was going like flies, it was going bad. And then, and long and short of it, what they were saying is, because I think I was locked up for like the maximum, which is just under 48 hours. In Bethnal Green Station, and my questioning was for like hours and hours of questioning, which I no commented the whole lot, but they I couldn't believe it, mate. Like they'd been following me. They'd been looking into this for months and months and months. I mean, to be fair, they were adding 2 and 2 together and getting 5. Like, it was completely all of the stuff they were going through, like, and kind of, what's this? Why is that? What's this? Kind of, and they was totally like, it was all wrong with what they were saying. Yeah. But still, like, there'd been a lot of work there, and basically they'd gone. Mate, I kept having to return from bail. Case was getting adjourned. Return for bail. Case was getting adjourned. Mate, I ended up on bail for like 2 years. And I couldn't leave the country, which ruined all of my events like abroad. I mean, this happened in summertime, and I think we rode out till the end of that summer. I think my friend Kenny like carried on with COS for me like the year after. But the other islands, like without me being there, like at any point, it was too much. So that it kind of
fell through, yeah.
It ruined those. Yeah, mate, I didn't have bank accounts, didn't have like it really did actually fuck me up. And not only that, I couldn't go on radio because if I'd just been arrested and I was on bail, and they know who I clearly am now, they then listen and I'm on True FM or I'm on a different radio station or whatever, mate, while I'm on bail, I'm definitely going to jail for this. Like, so I had to stop that, which ruined obviously, like what I said to you, the amount of revenue it was generating. My events then kind of wasn't really mentioning them on the radio anymore, kind of slowed it all down. So mate, it did go bad for me. No, they arrested me for three different things in the end. One of them was being on the radio at the time, which is, in all fairness, that's just a slap on the wrist. They've getting caught doing just DJing on a pirate radio. That was one account. Second account was when they took my car. In the car, I had one of those microwave horns that I told you about earlier. Which obviously you're not meant to have. It's illegal equipment. So that was the second charge. And the third charge, which was the big one, was day-to-day running, managing and financing an illegal broadcasting station. And that holds a sentence of 2 years.
Yeah.
Now, they told me, at the police station, we are going to aim to give you 2 years. We are going for the full 2 years because what you're doing here isn't, it goes, we take down pirate radio stations every week. This isn't a normal pirate radio station. This isn't some kids having fun. This isn't, this is a full-blown business. This, it is, what you're doing is not normal, and we're going to make an example of this. Because obviously me, I'm just like, what, all of this for a pirate radio station? Come on, mate. Kind of just playing it down. And then they said to me, they were like, this has to stop. It was like, Kiss FM pay £500,000 a year just for their license alone to us. You're not paying nothing. And they were like, and now, at certain points of the day, you lot have got more listeners than Kiss, at certain points. And then the guy, and then one of the other guys on behind him was like, yeah, especially Friday afternoons, mate. I was like, voila! And then from that, they just it all went to pot, and that was kind of like the end of it. My court case went on for ages, and what they were trying to say is I was doing a form of money laundering, which is basically they were saying this was their case. Yeah, they were like, right, because by this time I was a legitimate limited company, for all of my events and everything. So luckily, actually, but so. What they were saying is, right, when everybody comes and pays 10-20 quid to get into these events, he gets them there illegally through this pirate radio station. Everybody listens to this station. They all then go to the event. They pay their money to get in. He then cleans that money into his limited company. So it's proceeds of crime. That's what that was. Oof. So that's what it went through. Mate, after 3 or 4 kind of trials that had stopped and got adjourned. In the end, I got a new barrister, mate, and she just came in and was just I've never heard of anything so ludicrous in all of my life. She said to the judge, I think the case had cost them something mental, 350 grand they'd spent on me. 350 grand. Ofcom had spent on their case on getting me. And she was like, is there not something better that our government and authorities can spend £350,000 on than this young lad on a pirate radio station? Yeah. This is totally getting out of control. It's totally going too much. And I just demanded, said, I've never heard of anything so ludicrous. She said, right, look at this. And she got all my receipts out. She said, for somebody that gets somebody illegally, gets people illegally via his pirate radio station, then why has he got a just over £100,000 bill in 1 year for text messaging? Obviously, remember, I've got all of these numbers I'm texting every week. He's got a 100 grand bill for text messaging. He's got a printer bill for posters, flyers, and whatever else they print for 75,000. He's got all of these bills. He's that's clearly not somebody that's relying on a pirate radio station, is it? Can we stop this charade right now? And judge went, you know what? Yeah, you're right. See you later. Bang. And that was the end of that. that got thrown out.
Wow.
I did still get. I was on the radio at the time, and I did have illegal equipment in the car. So for those things, I got a £6,000 fine. And the judge also said, they say that was the end of it. I got 2 years suspended sentence.
Yeah.
Which sounds like nothing, yeah. But actually, if you do anything wrong in that 2 years, then what happens is like
you get done for all the crimes.
You're gonna do your full. You're gonna do your full the full sentence.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what happened with it. And the judge also said, if you go on another pirate radio station ever again in your life, then you're going to do 2 years in jail. That's what the judge did say. If you go on it. And I was like, mate, that ripped my heart out. You got to remember, from the start of us sitting down there, was like, I love pirate radio from the age of 9 years old. I'm like, oh, what? I can't never go on another one. That hurt me more than anything. Luckily, 2 weeks later after like that happened, Rinse FM got granted their license to be a legal station. I was like, lovely. Rung up the owner of Rinse. I was like, what are you saying? He's like, mate, come on. I carried on every Friday
and you've still got that show today. And
still doing it today, every Friday on the legal station, Rinse. Well, come out smelling the roses.
Yeah, listen, I mean, this has been... I mean, I've spoke to some serious people in my time, but this is up there with like the funnest, most fascinating podcast I've ever heard in my life.
Thanks for having me, mate.
We're going to have to do a part 2 because the thing is, what a lot of people don't know is after this story, you've gone on and done amazing things. You signed to some of the biggest labels, as we mentioned at the beginning. You've also got, 4 top 40s globally and also a number 1 as well. So there's all this stuff that we need to still discuss. So when I'm in London, or if you come back out to Dubai before that time, we're going to sit down, we're going to do this again.
Sick, man. For sure. I hope I wasn't waffling on too much, man.
Mate, I can tell you now, I bet people are listening to this absolutely loving it. So I thank you so much for your time.
Thanks
and
for having me.
For the listeners as well. Wow. What an episode. in my last however many podcasts, that is up there with the best. And sick. I'm just so glad that we got to share that with you. So we'll see you again next week, and thank you for tuning in to Daniel Lee's podcast. And just one thing, go and give us a follow, subscribe, whatever it is, because without all this, I couldn't do it without you, and I couldn't attract the guests that I have, like Sam. So Sam Supplier, thank you so much, mate.
Thanks for having me, brother.